No.
What's up, it's EJ, and I'm at Horror Fiesta with a true American hero, someone who has taught countless generations about the importance of water safety.
Yes.
Isn't that right, Mr. Lehman?
EJ, it's me, Ari Lehman, the first Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th. Here
You were the first actor to play Jason.
I am.
Since
Yes.
Jason's popularity started to really take off while you were still around high school age, is that right?
Yeah.
In what ways do you think Jason's popularity affected you in your personal life? Did you ever try to use your
Wow.
connection to him as bragging rights with your peers?
Well, back then, I'll tell you what, EJ, it wasn't like today. There wasn't Stranger Things and American Horror Story, and like even now with kids like Wednesday and all that. Horror was largely taboo in the early 1980s. It was just like a step above porn. You know, you were kind of like, oh, you did a horror movie. So it wasn't about bragging rights. However, when you ask how it's affected my personal life, which has been massively, of course, but as any artist, okay, what does an artist want? An artist wants a community with which they can express themselves, and a community that is freely welcoming them to express themselves. And that's what Friday the 13th has afforded me, of course. Wow. One day, after like the world music scene had sort of subsided, somebody says to me, have you signed this picture? And I said, well, I had not done any autographs. And I said, no. And they said, oh, well, long story short, someone had been forging my autograph, EJ, and selling it online. And they said, I paid $50 for this. And now I went, ding, wait a second. He said, you're the guy that played. I said, yes, of course. Now, in the interim, I had been in Fangoria magazine with Tony Timpone. Famous Monsters put me on the cover. So it wasn't like, you know, I had no idea that there was something like a horror convention or even horror fans. And so I got invited to the Meadowlands to do a Fangoria Chiller Theater Con. Kane Hodder was there, and Betsy Palmer was there, and Tom Savini was there. And so now I was back in, and I saw all about the Friday the 13th fandom, okay? And that, wow, that opened my eyes. And then I said, that's how I thought, oh, I'm going to create a band, not a reggae band anymore, but a metal band to serve the horror community, because you know that every metalhead is a horror fan and every punk is a horror fan.
Your scenes in Friday the 13th were mostly in the water, and you
all in the water. Little Jason, the character that I played, is only seen when Mama is having a flashback and I'm drowning in her memory. And then after poor Mama has had her head chopped off and I come up out of the lake, which then they say, is that a dream? Is it real? So it's rather ephemeral. How, well, I think it's real. I think Jason is real. There's many theories there, EJ. So, and I think that Victor Miller purposely, the writer, purposely left it kind of open-ended, because that's the kind of guy he is.
Right. Did you get to meet many of the other cast members? Because I believe in the movie you only had one on-screen appearance with another person.
Yeah, no, correct. No, yes, I was there while Kevin Bacon was on set, and Harry Crosby was on set, and of course Adrian, and yeah, several of the other female actors and everybody. Yeah, I mean, so I interacted with Kevin and Harry. Kevin would always, because you know I was a little boy, and kind of like he probably thought, oh, this kid is just bored to tears, and you know, also he was just being cool, so he'd be like, hey Ari, how you doing, you know, are you having a good day, that kind of shit. And so one time I guess he had been taking a piss in the woods, and I was like, now I was looking into the lake, trying to imagine. I was a very serious child. And so, you know, he finishes up with doing, he wanders by, he comes up, hey, Ari, what you doing? I guess he was concerned, like, oh no, you know, this poor child is looking into the lake, like he must be so sad. He must miss his mother or something, you know. And he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm getting into character. Like that, like I'm getting into character, Kevin. And then he just laughed so hard. He was like, wow, because he was like worried. And here I was like this psycho child. So he's like, he thought it was so funny. He said, you're what? And I said, I'm getting into character. So they came over. He called over Harry Crosby. He said, see, tell him what you said. You know, they thought it was so funny. He said, but Ari, you're only 12 years old. I said, I'm 14, man. Like, you know, when you're 14, you don't want to be called 12.
Right.
Very seriously.
Are there any other fan encounters, notable fan encounters that you think of when you think of your experience with conventions?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, you could just start with the number of people that I've tattooed my name. Like, people have asked me to autograph them and then got it tattooed on all parts of their body. And I've autographed a baby, and I've autographed.
The baby wasn't tattooed, was it?
No, I don't think so. I will leave you with the thought that you should all become writers and read more, and Jason never died.